Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Restless Barbarian Gaming. Tonight we are playing Star Trek Adventures, the second edition, with our series entitled Return to Tomorrow. Our characters have arrived at the ship for their first voyage. They are crew members of the USS Jemison, a Miranda class ship that is going out on its first voyage. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to kind of start off with a little bit of what I almost think of as like housekeeping items. We're going to go through talking about some of the things that the crew will be doing, where they're staying on the ship. Maybe get into a little bit about what some of maybe their hobbies are. Have them kind of interact with some of the crew. We're also going to be talking about each of the players are going to be coming up with a supporting character. If you're not familiar with that concept, that is another player, another character that they would control on various times. It's kind of a fun thing to do. It allows for adding some more flavor, some more characters to the story. It also allows them to maybe try something different. So maybe the captain doesn't always want to go down to the planet, which Kirk always went, and technically he shouldn't have been going. But in this case, we might have the captain may not go on every away mission. Maybe they'll send somebody else. So we're going to explore some of that tonight. I want to thank everyone who's watched the series so far. We've had some good amount of views. We appreciate your support. If this is your first time here, welcome. We're glad you found us. Please be sure to give the video a like if you wouldn't mind. It helps other people find us so that we can continue to grow. And yep. Ironically, we actually have a lot of people who want to be engineering. We might have to come up with some other departments to kind of fill some things out, but we shall see. But anyway, why don't we go ahead and we'll have our players introduce themselves. We are missing Q tonight. He wasn't feeling good. We miss you. Hope you feel better. But we'll continue on with the four players we have tonight. So I will just start at the top, and we're going to have them tell us who they are, where we can find them if they choose to be found on the interwebs, and who they're playing. So let's go ahead and start with Ed.
Hi, I'm Ed Appleby. You can find me on the socials at Ed Appleby or Ed Appleby Actor, and I will be playing Dr. Bolton Penhale.
And Crash.
Hello, I am Crash. You can find me at aaronbsmith.com. I've got a bunch of TTRPG podcasts and stuff that I do with some friends, including Ellie. And I will be playing Rhetoric Red Sark.
Alrighty. And Ellie.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and I'm a spooky ghost online. You can't find me anywhere. I'll be playing Captain Jackie Bellamy.
Somewhere someone is going to go, I'm going to take that challenge. Alrighty. And Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. And tonight I'll be your Andorian Science Officer, Lieutenant Commander Otel.
Awesome. Always wait for the change. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
We all got to have our hobbies.
Yeah. Oh no, I love it. I love that you can do that, and I can't. I don't know.
Today I'll be playing the ship computer.
I still think Kevin should be the voice of the computer.
Hey, I'm sorry, Dave. Hey, do you have any comics? Are there any games installed on here? Oh, wait, there are games installed on here. We probably should not visit Kevin upon the audience.
No.
Not yet.
We probably shouldn't.
Kevin is me with Alpha Filter.
All right. Well, let's talk about the May Jemison. This is a ship that, while it does have some defensive capabilities, your primary mission really is diplomacy, support missions for disasters on a planet, things like that. You're not really meant to be entering into any combat zones, but we all know with Star Trek things happen. So the ship is launching about a year or so after the Enterprise. So there are some lessons learned about the launch of the Enterprise. You're going to find that the crew of the Jemison is very diverse. There is a good number of crew members from other worlds, including Vulcans, and a couple other planets. So the Starfleet has kind of learned from its initial missions, and is really staffing this particular ship with some very accomplished and very competent crew members. And then there's Red. No, I'm just kidding. But what I'd like to do is let's talk about as the crew are getting settled in. They're each getting their quarters settled. I'd like to know a little bit about how maybe they're each decorating their quarters. That maybe we can also talk about the pastimes they have. Maybe they've maybe they've set up their quarters with some recordings of their favorite operas, maybe with a musical instrument. Let's get to know the characters a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick on whoever doesn't look like they're ready, but they actually look like they're almost all ready. Exactly, as much as the wine budget can manage. Yes, we have a huge budget here at Restless Barbarian Gaming. So, actually, let's do this. Who would like to go first? Kind of describe their quarters and tell us a little bit more about the character.
Sure, I'll go.
I'll go. Oh, go.
All right. So my quarters, when you walk into the quarters, it's almost like walking into an Indian restaurant. There's some weird spicy smells from the last thing the doctor was cooking. There's little kitschy like wood carvings and beaded this and a wide array of different like cultural things that are just kind of hanging around. Most of them are Denobulan in origin, gifts from past friends when the doctor was a GP back on Denobula. And there's a couple little other spots. He's got a little bar set up on one of the corners next to the kitchen with just various crafts of easy drinking, sociable kind of stuff. And then off in the corner is a desk that is an absolute mess, covered in little tools and things so he can tinker with his cybernetics. Generally, it has a very comfortable, like, homey kind of vibe.
Okay. So he is a civilian, and has been assigned to the Jemison. What was his feelings about being assigned there?
He actually looked forward to getting on a ship. He'd been in practice for almost 15 years. Just a general GP. He had this very good practice, but he just got bored after a while, and he wanted to do something exciting. When he was younger, he was the son of a diplomat, and there was an incident with a Antaran terrorist attack in which he ends up saving a diplomat's daughter, which is where he lost his arm, his eye, and that's why they're cybernetic. And he kind of became this well-known individual, and he was very popular, and his practice was he got into medicine because he wanted to help people. And just after a while, though, he missed that excitement. Like, that one moment was like the big defining moment of his life. And so now everything just kind of got boring. And he was talking to one of his associates, Lyra, who a fellow doctor, and she had told him about her father, a Dr. Phlox, who was on a Federation spaceship through an interchange. And hearing about this, the doctor got very interested and was like, maybe this is my chance to go out and get some adventure and like explore and meet new people and try new foods and just expand and really live life. Because having the accident, he realized a life's not a life if it's not being lived well. And that's his goal, is he wants to live his life as well and exciting as possible.
That's awesome. Yeah, that kind of ties back into one of his pastimes.
Yes. One of his favorite pastimes is actually xenogastronomy. He likes to go to new places and try new foods. It's like in a modern day, like going to Chinatown or Singapore Town and like just trying different kinds of foods. He does that, but on an alien level.
That is something that is definitely going to come up at some point. I love the idea of that, and that's that could be a fun story idea. So I'm glad you came up with that. And he is a friend to the. I always say it wrong. Denebulin.
My wife had me practiced. Denebulin.
Denebulin. Okay. Yeah, because I'm running a Star Trek game, but I butcher the names, and wait till you see what I do to the Lord of the Rings. But anything else you want to tell us about the doc?
I'll explain him physically. He looks similar to me. Mustache, hair. He has some scarring up the side of his face, and where it hits his mustache and his hair, it actually turns white. His one eye is cybernetic, so it's a different color and a little bit robotic. And there's an interface kind of behind his ear as well that mostly interprets the nerve and the synthetic nerve endings in his arm, which is cybernetic. It basically is cybernetic up to about, say, the mid arm, with little spots where it hooks into the nerves. And after, there we go. And after the arm is a little bit sensitive. Like, if there's too much trauma, it could shut down. At which point, it just kind of locks in place like a modern prosthetic. And it can hold maybe about 500 pounds. So he could, like, say, hold on to something and then hold on to someone else. But any more than that, and it will separate. And down he goes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. That was a good introduction to Dr. Penhale. So, who's next?
I can go next.
Okay. What would you like to share with the class?
Okay. Well, I have this macaroni sculpture that I made, and I worked really hard on it. But I tried to hang it on the fridge, and half of it fell off because I hadn't glued it very well. So instead, I offer you Redrick Red Sark, who's an ensign. As such, I believe that he'd probably be bunking in the lower decks, and likely shares quarters with other ensigns because of that. And he's got red hair. Of course, he wears a red shirt because security and ensign. Still surprised he doesn't die within the first 15 minutes of any episode. as is tradition. I would describe his appearance as, it's my first day, only slightly more competent. So this is his second assignment. His first assignment, they were on an away mission, and another ensign managed to send all the equipment back to the ship without the crew. So they ended up, there was a brilliant plan, but there was one missing step. The missing step was get on the roundabout or whatever. Oops. Oh dear. And so they spent 3 days trudging around on a planet trying to not break the Prime Directive. There were no fewer than 8 different incidents, several of which involved the other ensign, who, after about 6 incidents, that ensign was tied up and hidden in a cave. And Red led them through it, got a commendation, and hated it. Not just because he had to deal with the situation where he didn't go into Starfleet to be a leader. That's not his family tradition. His family tradition was, you go in, someone needs to be that ground floor. We are the ground floor. That's what we do. And he didn't like everyone noticing him. He got very uncomfortable. Okay, but that died down for a while. And then there was another incident which he doesn't have the same ideas as the good doctor about trying new foods. And that saved him. Because there was a slight accident with some imported goods that led to an alien parasite. Nothing's too severe, but it did take out all of engineering for a while. Sick bay was flooded. You can interpret that more than one way. You're right. Which, that's okay. That's okay. They'll get better. Nothing's fatal. Kevin again got into a little bit of trouble. Kevin was the other ensign. Kevin got into a little bit of trouble because he was the one who was sharing some snacks that he'd gotten imported in. He thought they tasted very good. But then there was a warp core malfunction, and all of engineering was in sickbay. So there's nothing about Red that screams engineer. However, he is very by the book and can follow instructions. So he did something that no one in engineering had ever done or thought to do. He opened the user manual.
And he went through the instructions.
He went through step by step and followed the instructions for ejecting the warp core. And the ship was saved. And he got another commendation, and he was told he was going to be up for promotion if he kept this up, and he immediately applied for a transfer.
He is definitely a lower decks character, and I'm glad to see he is aboard. I would love to do a lower decks version at some point. We may have to do it. We're gonna stay with some of the officers in the beginning, but I think at some point we may have to go lower decks, because that has been aside from the original series, that has been my favorite Star Trek series. So, and there is actually a whole rule book about making lower deck characters. So we may have to go into that.
Someday, 100 years from now, there will be a chief of security somewhere who takes inspiration from him and is always wanting to eject the core.
In regards to decorations, well, he has a shared accommodation, so he doesn't do too much in decoration. Eventually, he will have a crocheted blanket. He does crochet. That's his hobby.
Good.
And if he's on ship long enough, everyone who wants a crocheted blanket will have a crocheted blanket, he assures you. But he's going to make his first, and he gave away his previous blanket when he transferred. So he doesn't have anything other than ship uniform and a data pad that has family correspondence.
Okay.
And lots and lots of yarn.
All right. Well, thank you for the introduction to Red. I look forward to seeing more of him in our coming episodes. Who would be next?
I can go.
Okay.
Jackie Bellamy grew up on space stations and loved meeting all the different various cultures and people who came through the space stations, and decided to sign up for Starfleet as part of that. You know, she's part of the Starfleet aspirational, like, meet new life and new civilizations. And along with her promotion to commander, it was recommended that she take a temporary posting in Outpost 6 along the Romulan neutral zone. Because if the Romulans ever showed up, Starfleet was going to want someone like Jackie to greet them and say, you know, make first contact with them. And the Romulans did show up and blew up Outposts 2, 3, 4, and 8. And Jackie immediately applied for a transfer. And they finally noticed that she had been there for 10 years and said, yes, okay, we'll get you out of there. And so this is her first assignment after being transferred out of Outpost 6. Her quarters are suitcase chic at the moment. She decided that having new quarters off an outpost was time to reimagine what her quarters could look like, and she hasn't quite settled yet. She does spend time in there listening to alien opera on headphones for reasons that are immediately obvious to anyone else who listens to alien opera.
Okay. Well, I know she has applied for a transfer and managed to get a promotion. And this has been promoted to captain, so this is her first command.
This is a surprise to her too. She keeps hearing people say captain and thinking they're referring to somebody else.
Yep. No, she has been promoted and is ready to take over and show everyone what she can do. So, okay. Anything else we should know about Jackie?
She's not really used to talking to people anymore, so she's sort of like, she's friendly, but she's getting used to being around people who aren't the 4 other people at Outpost 6.
Yeah, she's gonna have a lot of people around this time.
Yeah.
So But I think one of her skills is actually, let's see, one of her talents is reassuring. So she can make everybody think everything's good, everything's great. So
those weren't the droids we were looking for.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. We're just gonna move along.
It's all fine. All right. Anything else about the captain?
Not that I can think of at the moment, but I'm sure something will come up.
Okay. Great. Alrighty. Let's talk about Etel. Am I saying that correctly?
I've been going with Etel.
Etel? Okay.
I think of it like, you know, when you're bad at poker and you have
Etel. Okay. That will help me remember it.
Yep. More formally, Etel the Fearless. He does not have a lisp, it just sounds that way. So he grew up on a Vulcan colony. Once upon a time, Vulcans and Andorians did not exactly get along. So growing up among them, kind of raised by both cultures, led to a very fervent belief in getting along, making peace. Anyone who's been paying close attention may have noticed that the first time we went into combat, his first idea was, how do I use science to scare these things away instead of actually fighting with them? Combat is a last resort. His quarters kind of reflect that. It's very Spartan, very, very simple, but a little bit of Andorian culture, a little bit of Vulcan culture. I think he has probably the one of the harps hanging up on the wall. But one of these days he's going to learn how to make pleasant noises out of it, but that has not happened yet. So for a very long time, Attell was teaching at the academy, teaching science, which he was leaning very much into theoretical knowledge, book learning, a bit of an inventor, tinkerer on the side, but eventually it was impressed upon him that he really needed to get a little bit of hands-on experience of what it's actually like out there. So he was kind of pushed into getting back into active service, but is starting to enjoy it. I believe, yes, one of his focuses is cybernetics. So science and engineering and a little bit of medicine all coming together. So doctor, if you ever have any issues, he's happy to make a house call.
I'm looking forward to working with you.
And well, he has, we established last time, he has a dear old friend who's dying of aromatic syndrome, and he now has a brand new friend who's working on doing something about that.
Right. I think your pastimes, I think I missed writing it down. Did you say the harp?
No. He does have a Vulcan harp on the wall.
Okay.
Someday that will be one of his pastimes, but yeah, he does not make anything pleasant out of it. As far as pastimes, I am reminded of a scene from the original series where Kirk finds Scotty reading a technical manual and says, "Don't you ever relax?" And he says, "I am relaxing." So Attell relaxes by catching up on, the academic science journals.
I'm going to just update your character sheet now. So catching up on technical journals. And that reminds me of my father, because he kind of did the same thing. So he kind of liked doing that too. So.
Oh, I should probably mention, he's been, we're just getting to the May Jemison.
You're going to actually, you're on the ship now. So we're going to start off.
We're like just newly assigned there, or we were coming back from an away mission.
Yeah, you guys are the initial crew of the Jemison. So
okay. So the last ship that he served on, he wound up, the chief engineer and wound up finding him a place to set up a little private workshop. Because no, you are not going to come and tinker in engineering. We're trying to run the ship here. So I'm sure he'll get along with the new engineer, but much better.
Right. Anything else we should know about him?
Probably we'll get to know him better over time.
Okay. Well, that's great. All right. Well, thank you. Let's talk about the supporting cast. Right now, there were 3 NPCs that I've already created. There is Edwin Castillo, RN. He will be a nurse who will be assisting the doctor and tending to the needs of the ship. There is a navigator by the name of Groznik. Actually, and I should be showing the pictures of these people. Let's take a step back. Let's meet Edwin Castillo. So, since I was sharing everybody else's, let's share these. So, only got to click like 50 buttons to do this. So, here's Edwin Castillo. He is an RN, and he will be attending the needs of the crew. We will move on to Ensign Groznik. He is a Denoblian. I know I just butchered that again. You know what I meant to say, so we'll move on from that. Again, the GM is not the best with the pronunciations, but here we go. Here's Ensign Groznik. And let's see who else we have here. And the other person we have is the executive officer. She is Sherry Kovac, or Sharina Kovac. Let's take a look at her and meet her. There we go. Here's Sherry. And yes, she does have resting bitch face, and she is quite aware of that. So, and does not care for when people remind her of this. But and we mentioned her.
What's her rank?
She is commander.
Okay.
So she is Jackie's number 1. So number 2. Sorry.
Okay.
Again, messing up the titles already. Number 2. So number 1, number 2. What is the correct? I think it's number 1, right? Is the executive officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, first officer.
I am thinking of Beavis and Butthead, unfortunately, where they were Picard and Riker, and he said, number 1, I order you to take a number 2. So that is why I am getting them completely mixed up, because I am childish. Anyway, so we will move on. So we have those 3 roles essentially already filled. 2 positions I think would be helpful to have supporting characters. I think a communications and language specialist would be helpful. Basically, your O'Hara. And a helmsman. I guess that would be not. It would be your Sulu. Yeah. So those would be 2 items that I think would be good supporting characters to create. The ideas we have so far, again, we talked about, we have a civilian from the diplomatic corps. Definitely, that would be a great idea to have them when we get into the actual story of episode 2. I think you'll see why. Ellie had come up with Tashin. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Tishin, yes.
Yep, a Vulcan materials engineering specialist, which I think sounds very interesting. And Ed had come up with a Tellarite chief of engineering. If you'd given me a name, I apologize. I cannot find it. So,
Braglon Kabos.
Okay, I'll trust you, and I'll go back and look for that. But what we're going to do is we're going to have Ellie has actually already submitted their character. It's not a rush. What I'd like to do is when we jump into the games again in March, at least have names for them, so we can kind of start to work them into the story. The character sheet don't need right away, but I would like to have them in there. And I believe that was it with the supporting cast, but I want to see if there's any questions you guys have about that.
Like when we create the cast, do we need to make them the full sheet and everything, just like a normal character?
I don't think it requires that. I think
There's
oh, go ahead.
There's a separate process for it in the core rules. I can provide like that. It's like a one-page thing.
Yeah.
And if you use the online character creator, one of the first questions it'll ask you is, are you creating a main character or a supporting character?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for
that character
instance,
creator is great.
Where most of us, I think, have some department where we have a 5. I believe supporting character is capped out at 4, so they aren't quite as frontline as.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. There's lots of online tools for creating that stuff. So we'll work on that stuff. So, all right. Well, what I'd like to do then is I'm ready to kind of jump into the story. And what I'd like to do is we have a captain's log. So Ellie, if you are ready to read the captain's log, and like I said, if you want to provide a Sark date, that is absolutely fine with me, and we will we will go from there. So,
absolutely. Captain's log, stardate 1962.7. After a minor delay, the May Jemison is now ready to leave Narendra Station. Our first voyage takes us to Delta 4 to deliver Ambassador Thala to an important meeting with the Kamakshi, a small but influential faction in the Alpha Quadrant. Given my past experience with the Kamakshi, I may be called upon to assist in the negotiations if things stall. They can be a delicate species to work with, prone to brooding silence if there's something they don't like, and aggressive if they feel cornered or trapped. This won't be an easy mission, to say the least. The Jemison gleams in the artificial light of the stockyard. It is a sight to behold. The starship looks as if it were carved from a single piece of metal. Its sleek lines and gleaming hull are a testament to the ingenuity of human engineering. It is a stark contrast to the chaotic jumble of the dockyard, with its cranes and scurrying maintenance crews. Yet, as I gaze upon it, I can't shake the feeling that I'm somehow diminished by the immensity of the task ahead. I've received my first command where hundreds are depending on my every decision.
and as Jackie's thoughts are kind of dwelling on, the importance, the significance of her first command, she gets a chime on her communicator.
This is Captain Bellamy.
Captain, and it's Commander Kovac calling her. All systems are reporting normal. We await you on the bridge.
Excellent. I'll be there in a few minutes.
Excuse me while the game master chokes. Any kind of preparations she makes kind of before she heads out?
Some deep breathing exercises to make sure all this anxiety is out of her system before she shows up on the bridge.
Okay.
Possibly repeated in the turbo lift.
As she makes her way to the bridge, the corridors of the May Jemison echo with the footsteps of her crew, each one passing her with a nod of respect or even a whisper of excitement, their eyes reflecting the bright lights of the ship's gleaming surfaces. The air smells faintly of ozone and new plastics, a scent that always signaled the beginning of a new adventure in the stars. Bridge is a hive of activity as as the officers check their consoles, make final adjustments to their stations. As the turbo lift opens and the captain steps through, Kovac stands and says, "Captain on the bridge," and the crew jump to attention.
As you were.
They all sit down. You see the captain's chair. You haven't sat in it yet.
I'll take a tour around the bridge before I sit down. Just
Okay.
getting a feel for what's going on at all the stations.
Okay. On the bridge is your science officer, your security, chief of security. I'm always messing up Varen's title, and then a couple spots of characters to be named later, and the last is your navigator, a young Denoblian who stands at attention, and his eyes are kind of oddly focusing as he's kind of watching you. He almost seems like he's as he's just kind of studying you with some curious eyes.
I've forgotten his name already, but Jackie would not have.
And Ensign Groznik.
Groznik.
And he
Sorry,
finally
I have to make a
looks
note
away. The staring contest ends as he looks away.
Is there something I can do for you, Mr. Groznik?
No, sir. Just learning your face, sir. And he kind of shakes his head.
Understood.
He's like, I know, that's not a human thing.
It's a pleasure to have you aboard, Mr. Groznik. Why don't you take your seat and get us out of here?
Thank you. Jackie, gonna sit down?
Yes.
Okay.
Finally, I'll take my seat.
After 10 minutes of deliberation. She sits down. She finds it very cold, but it's almost like a soothing embrace to her nerves in a way. An ensign arrives with a data pad, hands it to Jackie.
Okay.
And it has the latest navigational information and awaits your signature.
Oh, okay. Does it need a stylus, or can I just use my finger?
Oh, the stylus.
Okay. Yeah, I'll sign it and hand it back.
Just so
The stylus doesn't work the first 3 times. You have to tap it multiple times and press hard.
Bluetooth connecting.
Bluetooth connecting. Can we get somebody from IT up here?
You accidentally have paired with the ship console 2 seats over. Captain, you've signed my name on communications documents.
And no, I did not order a milkshake. Send that back.
I was sipping water.
Just so folks know, we are playing in the original series setting. So yeah, so that ensign who always has to come up to the captain and get something signed will be ubiquitous. It will happen all the time.
Please let it happen on an away mission.
Exactly.
We're lost in the jungles. They just show up.
So as the captain gets settled in, we're gonna switch to one of the labs on the ship, where Attell and the doc are reviewing the samples that they had recovered from Xerxes 4. In the background, there is a young man, a nurse by the name of Edmund Castillo, who is kind of doing almost like final inventory of the medical supplies as they prepare for their initial launch. But we are going to go back to Attell on the dock as they maybe making some notes on what they've found here and getting to know each other a little bit. So I'm going to shut up and let them start talking.
Sorry, is this our doc, or is this the doctor I was doing the research with?
No, this is our doc.
This is our doc. Okay,
yeah. Sorry,
just making sure. Right.
Yeah.
So, is it your first time on a ship?
Not first time, just it's been a little while. I was at the academy for a number of years. You've probably met some of my students over the years. I've gone on to do great things, but every now and then you have to get out of the library and touch a planet, I believe they say.
I could not agree more. You get really tired patching up, people from the Kaiban district every mating season. And sometimes you just want to go off and see the stars, So, what do you think we're in for? Danger? Daring fights? Good food?
Well, 2 out of 3 at least. 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
I've gotten used to having all the restaurants of Earth available. The
Lovely. I remember.
better replicators are just not the same.
Yeah.
Someday, perhaps, but they can't even make a decent cup of tea.
Yeah. Earth has some interesting food. That is for sure. It's not like the blood sausages back home. I mean, I guess Denobula is home for me.
I can relate. I think of home. I think of as many Vulcans as Andorians. So
Must be hard being split. We don't even have the luxury of being half of each race. We're just different.
Yeah. I find everyone is different once you get past the surface. We just have a head start.
Oh, I mean the difference is that's the important part. What is it you Vulcans say? Infinite combinations and
Infinite diversity, infinite combinations. Yes,
that's the one. Yes.
I'm going to pretend you did not just say you Vulcans.
I'm sorry. Sometimes.
I understand. You Denobians are like that.
Yeah. You are quite right. So, what do you think about these samples? I know we had trouble extracting one of them. And,
I'm
trying to keep
pretty
it
confident
vital.
about the data itself, but medicine is not my strong suit. So we have some matching pairs of before and during and after. So hopefully that'll help you track the progress of some of the patients at least.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, some of those pair bonds are seeming pretty promising. I'm hoping we can talk to Dr. Schlapp and get this figured out. I mean, there's also the other crew. I don't know, those genetics are all messed up. Really makes me wish I'd focused on genetics and not cybernetics, you know?
We do have something in common after all. Huh.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
You don't expect to go down to a planet and find people devolved into previous states.
No, I can't say I had that on my itinerary for the day. Then again, that's why they send us out here, because what you're expecting is not necessarily what you'll actually find when you get your nose out of the books.
It's true.
Which is why I prefer having my nose in a good book. But Oh, be.
No, I like to keep my nose up, keep my nose out, see all the differences. That's what makes life interesting.
I can relate. If you ever need any cybernetic assistance, I'm happy to pitch in. I'm sure you would patch me up if I needed it. So
I'm sure I would. Hopefully, it will not come down to that. I'd hate for you to lose anything. Trust me, it's a traumatic experience. I don't know. We might talk upgrades at some point. I always like tinkering with it.
I'm more of a science man than a philosophy to discuss upgrades, but
I mean,
what
that's
is
good.
and what is not, and
I mean, that's good. I'm not much of a theory guy. I'm more of a doing guy. Like, sure, I can figure out, weird sort of diseases and viruses and whatnot, and identify what the problem is with people. But really, I'm just here to patch people up. Get them back out there, living their life, doing their thing.
well,
Any luck?
I hope you have some
boring
very boring days here on the ship.
Yes, good. I like that. Plus, plenty of time to go explore. Did you see there's a gymnasium on the ship? Several of them.
Well, as long as they don't, track performance, not exactly my.
Not much of an athlete.
Leave the running around to our friends in the crimson shirts.
Yeah. Fair enough. I like to get out and exercise every so often myself.
Well, once in a while, just not quite as obsessively as Ensign Stark, for instance.
Oh, that Ensign Sark.
Oh, yes.
My goodness, I had a hard enough time keeping them together that last mission. Oh.
Jogs past my workshop at least twice a day.
Really brave man. Really brave man. Just a little accident prone.
Sometimes how we learn things. Some of us learn things in books, some of us learn things in the lab, and some prefer hands-on research. Who's to?
Sometimes you just got to get blown up a little. It's a good lesson.
Well, I think I'll leave that to you and the ensign. I'm happy to have all of my limbs and antennae.
All right, well, I'm going to let you get back to this. I'm going to go check in with Nurse Castillo, make sure he's got everything organized.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good
We
working with you.
should hook up for lunch sometime.
Yes, we should.
There's this Andorian recipe I do want to try, and I would love to get your opinion on it.
I will try not to be unnecessarily rude in my my review. I don't hold out much hope, but I could be surprised.
Your best is all I can expect. And with that, the doctor goes over and chats with the nurse.
Yeah. He looks up when he's starting. He's like, "We're just about done here, Captain. I think, or Captain." He says, "I'm sorry, I forget you're a civilian."
That's okay. You just call me doctor or
Doctor.
whatever.
He almost seems a little nervous. He's like, "This is my first experience on a Federation ship, so I'm still getting used to the military way of doing things."
Well, Nurse Castillo, it's my first time on a Federation ship too, so we'll learn together. And don't worry, I don't run things like the military.
Yeah. I gotta say, this place is really impressive. I mean, I know it's a brand new ship. Should have everything, all the bells and whistles. They always say we're not expecting combat, but I guess be ready for it. He's like, my skills mostly lie in triage and first aid. I did a lot of emergency work. Had my previous posting, and guess just never expected myself to be here.
Well, we're gonna learn about this together, and I'm sure it'll all be fine.
All right. Well, let me leave you to your work, and I'll got some of the other staff to talk to. There are a couple other medical techs, some things, but he would be essentially your head nurse, if you want to think of it in those terms. One of the things with the research that Attell may be working on, definitely Starfleet will be able to provide assistance. He will be able to work with what he's got on the ship, but can stay in communication, obviously, with Starfleet. Red and Varen have not developed any further symptoms yet, but of course the idea is to keep an eye on them to see if anything should happen, and perhaps they might slip a little bit. And I think with that, I think we're... Oh, go ahead.
Well, this is true, because while Red was showing signs towards wanting to hit thing with rock, that is a symptom that predates this adventure. It started when he met Kevin.
I don't know if we have a psychiatrist on board. There might be something that we might want to invest in, because to see about these manifestations, he's always talking about this Kevin. That might be something the doctor just quickly scribbled down.
Yeah.
He does not mention Kevin at all. He's afraid that he will conjure Kevin into a position on the ship if he brings up Kevin. This is only fourth wall communication, which canonically Kevin would hear.
Yes, we are. Yeah. We will. You know what, Crash? Why don't you just for our viewers? Why don't you give us a brief description of who this Kevin is? It's not the character from Home Alone.
No,
but he's a lot.
He's a Mutants and Masterminds character I played many years ago. Who every universe has a Kevin, and every universe regrets having a Kevin. And I think that's enough for now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think we want to give away too much just yet, but the Kevin, the threat is real, and I think that would be actually an excellent time. We're going to switch over to the armory, where Ensign Sark is assisting Varen with the inventory. And as they've been going through, just kind of double checking everything one last time before they leave the dock, they appear to be... They've gone through the count. They've gone through the count again. There appears to be one extra hand phaser, and the inventory says one number, but when they do the physical count, there's one extra there.
Now, one of the regressed Neanderthals. Yes, it's a mimic. I immediately shoot the phaser. No, I don't. I assume the phaser is treasure and hold on to it dearly. No. Does this include the phaser that we got from one of the Neanderthals that didn't know how to use it?
No. No, this is basically the ship's starting inventory. They are supposed to have X number of these phasers, X rifles in the armory, and when they've gone through and they've counted, everything should be accounted for in its own little slot. Somehow there's an extra one in there, so it is not anything that should have been brought aboard.
This would bother Red. This would really bother Red, because it was okay. We check. We have this number. We don't have this number. Well, we have one extra. That's better than having one less. It's better, but it's not good. I'm assuming that these phasers all have some type of space serial number or spirial number.
Yes.
Okay. Red's going to check the spirial numbers.
Okay. And you find that it is not within the same range of serial numbers, because these would have been weapons that have come directly from the manufacturer. And we starts off with this range, goes to this. This one's outside of that, and you can't really get any additional information on it. You just find that it is an anomaly. It does not go with this, this inventory.
Oh no, the serial number for this one looks like it was generated by an AI. The numbers aren't actually numbers.
This hand phaser is designed for 6 fingers.
But in this scene, it's designed for 3 fingers. It's not consistent. Red is definitely going to file a report for this and keep the phaser separate from the other phasers.
Okay. So you do not reveal this to Varen?
Oh, he reveals it. He's
okay.
He's going to share this immediately, but also because we're the ones who found it, a report needs to be filed, and we need to. They'll need to be documented. They'll need to be triplicate. Someone's going to have to go over to the captain and give the captain something to sign.
Of course. Yes.
For this.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Varen just kind of nods approvingly. You've noticed he's been watching you carefully as you're doing your inventory, and he will ask you to actually take the report personally up to the captain on the bridge.
Okay.
So you have your
5 minutes of walking through the same hallway over and over again.
the same couple walk by.
I just saw that black cat twice. Weird. Deja vu.
And you arrive.
Constantly looking over my shoulder to see if Kevin's there. He's not.
Make a luck roll. No, just kidding. Could I get a sanity roll, please?
That's a 10 and an 11.
Yeah. One success. You don't see anything following you, and you managed to not lose any sanity. Oh, if I could only mix it.
Oh my gosh, Star Trek Call of Cthulhu combination.
Oh my goodness.
The dark horror between the stars. We went to it. In Soviet Star Trek. Wait.
It might be an episode coming up. You never know.
Wait a minute. Star Trek is socialist.
This is where the equation start.
Mind
start
blown. Anyway, so yeah, all that being said, I show up on the bridge, and it's weird because Red is fairly new to the ship, looks around the bridge, doesn't recognize everyone except for the captain, who you don't show any familiarity with your commanding officer. But that's the only friendly face he sees here. The number 1 or number 2, I forget which.
Number 1.
It's rubbing off on me.
Exactly.
I don't know if they're the. number 1 or number 2. What have they been commanded to do?
We will
What's
flush
that?
the number 2. So.
Okay. Yeah. Red takes one look at them and immediately looks away, because what did he do? Clearly, he has done something wrong. He's not supposed to be here.
She does kind of give you a look, kind of like, "What are you doing here?"
The player is aware that she's probably just looking in his direction because he's walked onto the ship and movement. Red is not aware of this. Dag nabbit Ed, I read that. I know that reference. It walks over to Captain Jackie and hands her the data pad.
Oh, what do we have, Ensign?
Ship inventory, we seem to have 1 extra phaser, which is the serial numbers are very way off from this extra phaser. It's not just that they miscounted.
Usually I'd rather have too many than too few, but that does seem odd.
Yes, without this one, we'd have an even number total. Oh, that's not what you meant. That's not... Sorry.
Jackie just raises an eyebrow, waits a beat. All right. Well, let's get it into containment. Make sure nobody gets on their hands on it that isn't supposed to have it. What was the name of the chief of security?
I don't think we've come up with a name.
Did we have one?
I don't think. Chief of security is Varen. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm thinking chief of engineering. Sorry, too many characters. Okay. So.
Have 1 ship combat, we'll have way fewer. It's the Game of Thrones process.
And remember, your first strike must be this way. The hammer fist. So.
All right, I'll turn to the security lieutenant standing at the door to the turbo lift. Lieutenant, would you take care of this? Make sure that phaser's contained. I believe Commander Varen is down in the armory. Mr. Sark?
Yes.
Down in the armory. Make sure that phaser's contained until I can come take a look at it.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sark, will you relieve him, please?
Yes, sir. Sark's face, by the way, is matching his shirt right now.
And I suppose they should be saying "I," but I'll make sure I correct that in the future.
Whatever Red was supposed to say, he probably said it unless he was screwing up. Which is also a distinct possibility right now.
Okay. It is actually time for you to leave the station and to venture into the great beyond. The view screen flickers to life, displaying the star field outside the station. Stars look so close, yet so far away. Jackie, you feel yourself gripping the armrest involuntarily. You're just feeling the tension in the room start to thicken.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind is racing with the mission briefing, the countless simulations you've run, strategies they have discussed. Yet there was something about the unknown that always managed to coil a knot in your stomach. It's time to speak to the crew, Captain. That's the GM saying that. So.
This is the player thinking of something to say.
All aboard or coming aboard, I don't know.
All hands, bring me that horizon. Wait, that's re-entry! That's re-entry! No!
I will turn on the shipwide intercom. I will remember to do that before I say anything.
My important speech that no one heard. So.
Yes, exactly.
Dry run.
All hands, this is the captain speaking. We're about to... Captain, do you mean to have the intercom on? Captain, you're muted.
Wait, no. Wait, no. Click it. Now, wait. Now, wait a second. Now, click it. Yeah, okay. You're good now.
Yeah. All hands, this is the captain speaking. The May Jemison is about to depart space dock for the first time. If you have a window, I suggest you look out. If you don't, try to find one. A ship departing space dock for the first time is really something you shouldn't miss. Mr. Grosnick, if you would, please.
Kovac speaks up. All decks report ready, Captain. We're clear for departure. And
half impulse until we're clear.
Grosnick.
Full impulse until we're clear of the system.
Grosnick begins to click little buttons. Says, "We've received clearance, Captain."
Let's go.
And what is your catchphrase?
I haven't thought of one yet. I'll have to audition them.
To infinity.
For right now. Take her out.
Okay. As the ship begins to clear the station's perimeter, communications officer announces, "We're receiving a message from Starfleet Command, sir."
On screen.
Message crackles through the bridge's speakers as you see Rear Admiral Kadir from Starfleet Command appear on screen. "Captain Bellamy, the eyes of the Federation are upon you and the crew of the May Jemison. Your mission is of the utmost importance, and we have complete confidence in your ability to navigate the charted territories of the Alpha Quadrant. Your orders are to support diplomatic missions and offer they offer aid on relief missions. Remember, you're an ambassador of peace and discovery. Good luck."
Understood, sir.
And at that, Grosnick is going to hit the button. Stars outside the view screen grow larger as the ship's engines hum to life, a symphony of power and precision. The May Jemison glides through the inky blackness of space, leaving the station with the safety of familiar territory behind. Stars stretched out behind them, a canvas of possibility and potential danger. The excitement on the bridge was palpable as the crew watched the station shrink to a mere speck of light, swallowed by the vastness of the cosmos. And that's where we're going to end for tonight. So, I want to thank my players. I think we had a lot of fun. I think we've learned a lot about them, and the ship is on its way. So we are going to be picking up again in March, actually, with the next segments. Really, the parts of episode 2, which is entitled Voyage. We'll pick up with those in March. So thank you again to everybody who's watched live and also watched on YouTube. We appreciate your support. Please, again, we appreciate your support. Would anyone like to have any final words before we kind of wrap up for the night?
Have a good journey.
Okay.
I am going to be running a Call of Cthulhu one-shot on Miskatonic Playhouse this Saturday at, awesome. I believe we said 2 o'clock, 2:30 Eastern.
Awesome. Okay. Love some Cthulhu. All right. Okay, well then, if we don't have anything else, folks, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. And again, we will be back in a couple of weeks with the next part of this adventure. So thank you again for joining us, and have a great night. Goodbye.
Good night, everybody.